Next we have David Swanson.
Thank you. Charlotte is a beautiful place, and it's great to be here and with these speakers. And there was a street festival downtown. Apparently, none of these bankers work. I mean, everybody is out there all day at this street festival. And you walk around, you talk to people, as in any town, and you can have absolutely no idea that there's a war anywhere in the world, that anything has happened to our Constitution, that anything has happened to our Bill of Rights. You go back to the hotel, turn on the TV, and you're exactly as ignorant as you were before, right? And I mean, this is one of the things I've been telling reporters who've been asking me about Cindy Sheehan quitting, is that, this is a serious loss to lose probably our best spokesperson. But if the television shows suddenly decided, based on who's been right and who's been wrong for 5 years, to have peace activists and justice activists on, there ain't no shortage. There's thousands of articulate spokespeople, and there always have been around this country. And I tell you what, as you've already heard, it isn't always going to be possible to ignore what's going on. If we give every future presidential administration in this country the powers that we're talking about given to them, we can't go very long without you being impacted, yourself, your family, your close friends. I mean, it's not just that we're enraging the world against us. It's not just that we're advancing global warming to a dangerous degree. But if we are going to allow administrations potentially much more dangerous than the Bush administration to have the power to write our laws without a Congress, to have the power to blatantly violate laws, to spy in blatant violation of the law and the Constitution, to detain without charge, to torture, to launch openly aggressive wars, this is going to impact people. It's going to impact people when it's too late, and it's going to show up in the media less and less, unless we don't give every future president these powers, because we impeach the president and vice president who have seized them now. I read an article just recently that had a quote that somebody had seen on a wall that said, "Let's save our pessimism for better times." This is not the time for pessimism. This is not the time for spectatorship. This is not the time for being a pundit and predicting what's likely and what's not likely. This is a time where you have to have optimism. This is an intellectual decision, a moral decision to have optimism, because we must at this time. And so the other thing that I've been saying to reporters about Cindy is that the way she has quit has awakened people to exactly what we're up against, to exactly what we need, which we haven't been aware of, that many of us working for the elections in '06 were unaware of. And the one thing we don't need is information or evidence. We can't use it. It delays. It eats up time. And it's a horribly destructive habit of thought to think that we need it. Has the president reversed laws and announced that he's going to violate hundreds of laws? The signing statements are on the White House website. Has the president spied in violation of the law? He's on videotape lying about it for years. He's on videotape confessing to it. Federal court has called it a felony. Has the president and the vice president openly threatened aggressive war on Iran? They are on videotape. Has the president been informed what was coming down in New Orleans before Katrina hit, and did he lie about it afterwards? Both of those things are on videotape. Have the president and the vice president and their staffs advocated and defended policies of detention and torture and engaged in them? It's in writing. There are hundreds of witnesses, victims, and public photographs. The evidence is voluminous, the evidence is undisputed, and the evidence of the lies that took us into this aggressive war is on a website called afterdowningstreet.org, and I recommend going to it. Now, An impeachable offense is not a crime is not an impeachable offense, but we do not need to educate anybody about that when these people have committed so many acts that are blatantly both. And you can read John Conyers' report, originally written in late 2005, listing many of the specific felonies. So here in my last minute, this is what we have to get our minds around. The Democratic strategy, the leadership in Washington, wants to keep the occupation of Iraq going until November of 2008 and Bush and Cheney in office until November of 2008 in order to run against these things. The only thing that we can do to get the Democratic leadership in Washington to act is to threaten to elect Greens and Libertarians and Republicans in November of 2008. This is the only thing that will scare Nancy Pelosi into holding accountable the worst Republicans we've ever seen. I mean, this is a very heavy burden. You understand why Cindy lost elections by our standards. If they win their way, if they take it their way and they win with a candidate who supports attacking Iran, who wants to have at his or her disposal the powers to commit the same abuses we've been talking about. So if we compel the Democrats to impeach now, to end the occupation of Iraq now, they will restore the rule of law, they will win huge in the next election, so it is for their own good that we have to threaten to oppose them. And that starts with running good Democrats in the Democratic primaries, and we'll talk more about that.
Thank you, thank you. Let's give a hand to all our panelists. Thank you. David Dixon is...